Well, hello everybody. Welcome to Monday. And I hope you're all having a beautiful, happy Monday because we sure are. As we all know, it's magical, marvelous, mystery Monday with Bryce, who is always a pleasure to have. So, but I have to say, beautiful Bryce is not feeling on top of the world today. She's taken a few doses of ivermectin, so you might see her turning into a horse and galloping up the street. Should that happen, it's not a possession.
No. Well, I was telling
It's
you,
meds.
guys, I laughed when I got on backstage with you guys because we get accused of so much stuff, and I got called a clone today. I was like, well, that's a first. Could have, and
I'm not been called a clone yet.
I promise you guys, I am first off not a clone. Just because I do research that you don't like doesn't mean you know we got to get out of the junk conspiracy cul-de-sac. We got to stop running around it. So I was telling them, listen, I'm on my period. I woke up with a fever and a sore throat. If I'm a clone, then I got a really bad deal because cramps. So yeah, if you see me
Yeah,
acting a little loopy, that's why. But it is what it is. I've been working really hard, and so sometimes I think the body just says, just for the rest of the day, just kind of chill out a little bit. So
yeah. And on that note, sorry, before you continue, I just want to say um, we were supposed to be filming with Mr. Fox after Bryce to be aired tomorrow. He's otherwise engaged this week, so we will be filming with him next week, not this week. So just make a note of that, please. It is on the schedule, but we will update our schedule as well. So we will be having Mr. Fox next week, and not tomorrow. And I want to just say hello, Carolyn. Welcome to everybody. Really good to see you, Sylvia, Jenny. Good to see you guys. And yeah, look forward to Tablet 8, the Key of Mysteries. And we were actually just talking off air a little bit,
mhm.
that this is where he talks about the shape shifting. And very interesting because, especially when we're seeing, what's been coming to the fore in the last, let's say, especially 5 years, right? It's become a lot more talked about the topics that the upper echelon really are not humans at the end of the day, but they are reptilian energies that have. I mean, I sound so crazy even saying this, right? But we know this more and more to be true, that have taken over the bodies, which is literally what they sell the soul for, so that these guys can take control and drive those bodies. So the body is the same, but of course the energy that's driving it is very, very different. And I want to just say that we are actually seeing more and more of that occurring. We've been seeing it in government, in our political figures, in some of the movie stars, all of this stuff as well. And now, I mean, I'm seeing more and more reports of the sounds of the dragons shouting and growling. What do dragons do? Growl. They growl, right? What do dragons
I
do?
would assume so, but
Growl, right?
Yeah,
Whatever
growling. Yeah.
noises they make coming from underneath the earth, we know for a fact the Nephilim giants exist, right? There's been more and more of these secret ops, black ops military guys that have actually been sharing videos and information on what they went through with that. More and more, what's coming up around Area 51 and the military bases. If we just look at our interviews that we were with Jesse on the decon, on the military bases, guys, if you guys haven't watched that yet, there's four main ones we're going to be decoding. We've already decoded the first. We're just waiting a little while to do the others. But literally talking about how they train to travel through portals, into underground cities, into these underground water worlds, where they've literally created supersonic sharks, dolphin, these underwater creatures that have no name because we can't even recognize what they are. And it's very interesting as well when we're talking about that. And I remember my question to Jessie at the time when we did that was, is that why we're finding some of our sea life more aggressive? I mean, recently they've been down the road from me, literally, a shark in like thigh deep area killed 2 people. I was on the beach the other day and they hauled out a 0.1 meter shark. You're seeing these things on TV where these, not TV again, these YouTube reels and stuff where the whales are now attacking fishing boats. And this is genuine stuff. So, is this because of the aggression that's coming through? There's all sorts of stuff that's happening. We understand that a lot of this, what we experience right now, and those of us who watch these shows understand there's a lot more going on. Life is spiritual, right, before it's physical. So when we understand it's energy, you look like a human, doesn't mean the energy or the spirit or the soul, whatever you want to define it as, that inhabits the body is that of a human, right? So we've been called more and more to to understand that these things are being released and are going to be released. I was seeing another reel, Morné is gone, on video footage people are taking of these huge 8 to 10 foot beings arriving. Now, is it in backyards at night having conversations? Now, is it false flags? I don't know. But I think there's enough information and there's enough people telling us, credible credible whistleblowers who are telling us, and I want to just say a lot of these whistleblowers are not even talking publicly. So credible people sharing this kind of knowledge, that we are definitely going into some very crazy changing times at the moment, and we cannot disregard that there's some kind of a non-human species inhabiting our earth, that's for sure. Anyway, I know that that's what we're going to be touching on the tablet today, Bryce, so I don't want to take up time.
And as you're saying that too, because I've talked, as I when I read these tablets, when I prepare for these shows, I've been flabbergasted in a good way at like the last few tablets. That like tablet 6 and tablet 8 are now probably my favorites. So we're seeing what Shanti is saying, and that also relates to the law of one, 2 things that Mr. Fox has said, that this is a real thing that's going on. You have a 3rd density planet that we're on according to the law of one, and it really mirrors what Thoth is saying and kind of building up to this tablet 8, is that there are 2 main polarizations at play right now, the darkness and the light, and both the darkness and the light are harvesting at the moment. And what we see from, especially from Mr. Fox and people who are law of one scholars, is that, and this is what science shows us too, is that darkness can't create anything, only the light can. So everything that the darkness uses is being stolen from the light and pulled from the light or mimicked from the light. They can't create things on their own, so they have to borrow from what is creatable with the light. And that's what Thoth was saying, preparing up to this moment, when he talked about the brothers of darkness and the brothers of light, and especially saying how the brothers of darkness can mimic the brothers of light to try to pull you off of your path. Why do they do that? Because once again, it goes back to this idea that the light can sustain itself, the darkness can't. And so the whatever you want to call them, if you want to call them the brothers of darkness, if you want to call them the controllers, whatever, they are constantly trying to pull from you as a light being so that they can polarize more negative, right? And so that is why we're seeing so much upheaval right now, is because both the light and the darkness are harvesting. They just harvest in very different ways. And something that Mr. Fox said on our episode with Catherine, we did last week, for those of us who are of the light, who are trying to serve others, who are trying to be heal ourselves, to be the best versions of us, to give to humanity when things get so chaotic, because that's what the darkness does, creates that chaos. That then provides us with more opportunities to serve humanity. When we see someone sick, when we see someone suffering, to be there to help them, help themselves, to do these shows with you guys, to keep pushing forward, to keep, because they're not going to stop, right? That is not, the darkness will not surrender. To surrender is not in their moral compass. Why? Because surrendering is service to others. Surrendering is helping someone out, and they are purposely trying to polarize negative. That's their purpose, is to go negative. They want that. And so if they were to surrender, they would depolarize, right? And I know Mr. Fox has told me, according to the Cassiopeians, which also follow the law of one, that in this particular timeline that we're on, the bad guys will be able to accomplish 80% of what they want to accomplish before we're finished. So buckle up, right? Just buckle up. And they said, the Cassiopeian said, Mr. Fox to me the other day, that they said that from one of their last postings, that when things get really hectic, just remain calm, which goes back to that Magdalene gospel where she talks about the wisdom of the wrathful person. Magdalene never tells you to go vigilante. She says you to remain calm and take the anger of what they're doing and use it, transmute it to do good. Right? If they're going to go out there and try to fool you and convince you, well, we're going to transmute that and go through the emerald tablets on our channels, go through the mystic, to try to keep people calm, to understand why this is happening, and that you're strong enough to take it. And so we're building up, as you can see, Thoth has built up to this tablet. He has told us all this time, work on yourself, do your shadow work, don't get distracted by the chaos of the left. Mr. Fox has talked extensively about junk conspiracy, that they do insert junk conspiracy into our community. So we're distracted. He calls it the junk conspiracy cul-de-sac. So we're distracted like in a hamster wheel of other people and who has a penis and who doesn't, and all that kind of stuff, when really we should be focusing on healing ourselves and doing good for humanity, right? And so Thoth has talked about that. So now we're building up to tablet 8. He's also, so another thing Thoth is going to talk about here is astro travel and the quantum. And that's something that Mr. Fox says a lot about as well, especially in relationship to third density, which you guys could probably talk more in detail about, because Mr. Fox says that the law of one and the Cassiopeians do talk about what Thoth is going to be speaking here about. And so, so let's get into it. So I guess we'll do what we've been doing. We're going to go straight through Thoth, and then we're going to go back and look at Doriel's commentary, because Doriel actually, in this commentary, because I've read it, Doriel actually does talk about some rituals that they do, which is very interesting, because Thoth doesn't mention this ritual, but Doriel does. And so we'll look at that when we get to Doriel. So we'll start with, this is, again, if you're following along, this is Emerald Tablet 8, the Key of Mysteries. Unto thee, O man, have I given my knowledge. Unto thee have I given of light. Hear ye now and receive my wisdom, brought from space planes above and beyond. Not as a man am I, for free have I become of the dimensions and planes. In each I take on a new body. In each I change in my form. Know I now that the formless is all there is of the form. So this is fascinating that he's saying this, because, we know this is foreshadowing that he's going to start talking about shape-shifting, as we call it. He doesn't call it shape-shifting, I don't think. But that's a modern word for what, I'm sorry if you guys hear racket outside their building. That's what we call it. But shape-shifting within itself, this is what the controllers know, that we as Morné pops back in, perfect timing. We have not, so the controllers, and I have said this over and over and over again, I think I'm going to put this on a t-shirt. The controllers are many things, but stupid ain't one of them. Right? The controllers, they're extremely intelligent. They're very smart. They're just psychotic. So they don't have governors. With someone with a soul, someone who cares about humanity, there's going to be a limit to what a person with a soul just naturally is going to do with their intelligence, because they have empathy. They don't want to hurt anybody. But you give that intelligence to somebody who has no governor, no self-governor, and they're going to go take it to the extreme. So this idea of the body, of the Shakti of the soul, as we say in yoga, the expression, the nature of the soul, the experience of the soul, the body in itself is always moving and changing and shifting, right? We know that we're born. I was born at 5 pounds 11 ounces. I'm not 5 pounds anymore, right? We grow, we change, our bodies change, they evolve with time. So we're already looking at a body that's not sedentary, right? And so if you see what Thoth is saying here is, as you understand consciousness, as you start to understand the different levels of this consciousness, you will be able to then manifest a different form for the soul. Now that in itself is not bad, right? Like we said, darkness cannot create anything, only the light can. And we'll see this in the Sophia Code if you're following along with us on Wednesdays, that Magdalene was actually a shapeshifter. She talks about it in the Sophia Code. So we're seeing people have the ability to be able to do this, right? Even on the light. We just don't know how to, right? We haven't been taught that. The darkness has been taught this ability. Oh, you're muted, Chanti. Like, oh no, is my internet going?
I had my family greeting me. So anyway, so what did I want to say? What were we talking about? Sorry.
We're talking about the shape-shifting and how Thoth is already alluding to this in the second verse.
Okay, I lost my train of thought there. It'll come back to me.
Yeah, well, that's what he's saying. So I'll read that again to you guys so you kind of can see the foreshadowing of what he's saying. Not as man am I, for free I've become of dimensions and planes. In each I take on a new body, and each I change in my form. Know I now the formless is all there is of form. So in that respect, he's also saying your soul is really what's going on here. Your soul and your spirit. Your spirit created your life. Your spirit created your body. Your soul, your spirit, that fire within you has created all of your existences. And so therefore, since that is what's in control of this, that's what's the driving force behind this, then there's a possibility of doing this within the living incarnation you're in now. And the darkness knows how to do this. We don't. We haven't been taught. So he's kind of foreshadowing that already, guys. Great is the wisdom of the 7. So again, the 7 are the chakras that we talked about, multiple tablets now. Mighty are they from the beyond, manifest they through their power, filled by the force from beyond. Well, what's the force from beyond? That's the force beyond the body. That's your spirit. That's your consciousness. That's things in your subconscious that your spirit knows, that your logical mind, your brain, your organ in your head doesn't know. Hear ye these words of wisdoms. Hear ye and make them thine own. Find in them the formless. Find the key to beyond. Mystery is but hidden knowledge. That's interesting, right? Mystery. There really is no mystery. All mystery is just hidden knowledge. That's what esoteric means, is hidden knowledge. That's it. It's hidden knowledge. Occult is hidden knowledge. It's not something that's a mystery. It's a mystery only to you because you haven't heard it yet. So mystery is but hidden knowledge. Know ye and ye shall unveil. So once you know it, that's why it's called the key of mysteries. Once you understand this, it's not a mystery anymore, right? Find the deep buried wisdom and be masters of darkness and light. And when he says masters of darkness, the darkness is a lowercase d and the light is an uppercase L. So once you understand what's happening, you become the master of your own darkness. It's like that great modern saying we say now, once you see it, you can't unsee it. Or one of my favorite sayings, you can't get the shit back in the horse, right? Like, once we see these things, once we understand that this is what's going on from the brothers of darkness, we become masters of ourselves in the sense that we don't fall for it anymore because we see it for how it is. You can't get the shit back in the horse. You can't go back to sleep anymore. You see it for how it is, right? Deep are the mysteries around thee, hidden the secrets of old. Search through the keys of my wisdom. Surely ye shall find the way. The gateway to power is secret, but he who attains shall receive. Look to the light, O my brother. Open and ye shall receive. Press on through the valley of darkness. Sounds very familiar to Psalms 23, where they talk about walking through the valley of darkness, which we know that the Emerald Tablets were written long before the Bible was. We know that a lot of the Bible took from Egyptian religious or spiritual, like the 10 Commandments are from the Egyptian Book of the Dead. which the Egyptians called the Egyptian book of going forth into the light. So if that's something that's new to you, just look that up. Moses took those from the Egyptian Book of the Dead. So we're seeing the same type of stuff from the Psalms 23 here, where he's saying, look to the light, O brother, open and ye shall receive. Press on through the valley of darkness. Overcome the dweller of night. Keep ever thine eyes to the light plain, and thou shalt be one with the light. So keep your eye on the prize. Don't get stuck, for our modern listeners, don't get stuck in the junk conspiracy cul-de-sac. Right? Yeah, we know that they worship the Baphomet. We know what they're trying to do with our children when it comes to gender and sexuality. We know that. But when it comes to your own personal understanding of your soul, does it really matter to you if Bill Gates has a penis or not? Right? Don't get stuck in that junk conspiracy cul-de-sac of distraction. Right? You can say, oh, that's interesting to know that they do this. Now let me go work on myself. Right?
We also, it's like we can also see how that correlates. Like, for example, that whole gender swapping of babies, and even when they're in the womb. I mean, it's known that's what happened with Nicole Kidman.
Yeah.
Is that her dad, Anthony Kidman, who's a prolific pedo from Oz and very high up in the cult as well, he actually transgendered her while she was still in the womb. And it's interesting because that's why she can't have kids as well, from what we're told. And everything on the outside is female, but on the inside, no. So we know they've been doing this forever, right?
Yeah.
And we also understand why. Yeah. So we don't really need to be digging into that anymore and getting more detail about who did what. Let's look at the more important things that really are of concern to us. And yes, to understand how things work and to see what is situated where, like who is on what side, is a very good thing to understand, right? Yeah. And lots of things are being revealed now as well, in terms of you just looking at people who are partying together. You can see that they belong to the same boys or girls club, for that matter. You can, so you understand, and it's not a judgment. It's just recognizing, okay.
And like you think about this whole empathy, and like that, my heart breaks for her. Like I feel empathy for her. She didn't make that choice. A lot of people. So we need to be as people that we see ourselves being on the side of truth, which I really hate that, the truther. I'm a seeker. I'm not a truther. I'm just looking for the truth. But as a human being with a soul and with empathy, like that, I feel sorry for, that makes me hurt for Nicole Kidman that happened to her, and like, can you find that empathy there? It's like, even though she might have done bad things herself, we don't know, we'll see. But there can still be a level of compassion. And so, but it is, you go, okay, interesting. I see what they're doing. I understand why they're doing it, because the darkness can't create anything. Only the light can. And the left nostril, right nostril, God made us with these two energies within our body, and they're trying to distort that. That's good to know. Now I'm going to go work on myself. Right. So that's, I think, where we get distracted by, as Shanti says, the false bling of the, and that's what Thought said in like the last tablet or the tablet before, where he was like, the brothers of darkness will mimic the brothers of light and try to trick you into following them, because they need your energy in order to sustain themselves. He goes on, man is in the process of changing to the forms that are not of this world. That's interesting. Man is in the process of changing to the forms that are not of this world. That's for us as well. And it's interesting, as you were talking about, when we were talking about the shape shifting in the beginning, and we were talking about all, there's so much footage that people are showing now of people like shape shifting on camera accidentally and coming back. And my argument is, and I think it was Mr. Fox that originally said this, what's really happening, these entities, which we'll talk about later on in the tablet, have been doing this for a very long time. We just didn't have the eyes to see it. Our consciousness is now raising, our understanding is now raising, so we can actually spot it now. Whereas before it didn't mean it wasn't happening. It didn't mean that before they weren't accidentally like changing their eyes or changing their face. We just didn't have eyes to see it. So we are also elevating in that understanding of awareness, and our bodies are going to start to shift and change. I mean, hello, we have what the science calls junk DNA, but God don't make junk. We got 10 strands of DNA that are inactive. What happens when our consciousness rises from working on ourselves, and all of a sudden these different DNA strands start to activate? I don't know. We'll see.
They reconnect. Yes, they reconnect.
We're going to get to see what else we can actually do. And that same goes for the negative side as well. So it's happening on both sides, but for different purposes. Grows he in time to the formless, a plane on the cycle above. So grows he in time to the formless, plane of the cycle above. So your consciousness is raising, because you are really just a soul having a human experience. Know ye, and ye must become formless before ye are one with the light. So you must understand that you are a soul to really be one with that light, because that's what your soul is, right? Your soul is just light and love, and that's what really who you are. List ye, O man, to my voice, telling of pathways to light, showing the ways of attainment, when you shall be one with the light. Search ye the mysteries of the earth's heart. Learn of the law that exists, holding the stars in their balance by the force of the primordial mist. Seek ye the flame of the earth's light. Bathe in the glare of its flame, the flame of the earth's light, right? We know earth is a consciousness as well. We know that on this channel. Mr. Fox talks about this. So we're also now more in touch with the consciousness of the earth, as we are a part of that experience of Mother Earth and her soul as well. Bathe in the glare of its flame. Follow the three-cornered pathway until thou too art a flame. So again, flame, we see this over and over again in these tablets. The flame is another metaphor for your spirit. Speak thou in words without a voice to those who dwell down below. Agartha much? I think we've talked a little bit about Agartha, that there is a civilization that is underneath us, according to Mr. Fox, because Mr. Fox was actually the first person who told me about this concept, and then I did a series on it on my channel and looked it up. The people that live below us know about us. We just don't know about them. They're aware that we're above them. They have their own sun beneath the earth, and that Gartha template can work with both a round earth and a flat earth. It can work in any type. It's just people underneath us. Enter the blue lit temple and bathe in the fire of all light. Oh, yeah. Sorry. Did I miss? No, okay. Know ye, O man, thou art complex, a being of earth and of fire. Let thy flame shine out brightly. Be thou only the fire. Wisdom is hidden in darkness. I love that. Wisdom is hidden in darkness, guys. So that also goes back into the micro of your own experience. The only way that you're going to gain wisdom is through actually doing your shadow work, actually going into your own nooks and crevices of darkness within yourself, because you are on a planet of polarity. You are here to make a choice which path you're going to serve. And so you have to understand that. You have to go through that when lit by the flame of the soul. So wisdom is hidden in darkness when lit by the flame of the soul. So when you see it, when you go, that's why I feel jealousy. That's why I have abandonment issues. That's why I feel betrayal. Now I'm going to use the soul of my light to heal this. Then there sparks the wisdom, right? And through that wisdom comes things like empathy, compassion, all the things you need to be of service to other people. Thou found the wisdom of the light born, the son of the light without form. Seek the ever more wisdom. Find it in the heart of the flame. Know that only by striving can light pour into thy brain. So it's interesting. This is the first time he talks about the brain as an actual organ, where he calls it the brain, where he doesn't say the mind or the knowing. So he's talking about, and we see this, in my opinion, we see this in a lot of old spiritual texts, especially like alluding through the Yoga Sutras, is that your body, your soul, your consciousness knows a hell of a lot more than your brain does. Sometimes we give too much credit to this muscle in our head that's purpose is to problem solve. We give it too much credit. Right? And so that the brain, the muscle of the brain is what they use MK Ultra mind control on, right? Because they understand the patternings of thought, and the mind looks for patterns. The mind understands repetition and pattern because that's its purpose. Like the heart's purpose pumps blood. The brain is to keep you alive, to problem solve. And so now they know how to trick the brain. Right? And so when you start to understand the wisdom of the soul then feeds that information to the brain. Does that make sense? Like we know that yoga, the practice itself, is an antidote for mind control, because then in the practice of yoga, you're observing the mind. So that's what he said. I just thought that was interesting that he actually pointed out the organ of the brain.
But I want to just say something here as well. You know, when we're looking at thought patterns and stuff like that. Absolutely. So when we look at, we understand that energy is freely available to each and every one, right? So it's our intention as to how do we use it for, obviously, for the good of yourself and those around you, or for the detriment of everyone, basically, right? So as we start observing that, we then obviously make choices. And that's, I think, what we're saying as well with a fourth density, positive or negative.
Yeah.
But what I want to say as well, when we look at how we go to the gateway experience, for example, and how they've taken humanity's natural abilities, right, and amped them and contorted and literally weaponized kids with that as well. So that's how they weaponize kids, using those methods. Now, again, here's a choice. You're either going to use that information and those abilities to do something unnatural with it, or you're going to allow it to evolve in its natural time as a human being naturally does, as we raise our frequency, as we meditate more, as we trust more, as we believe more that, we are a miracle and we are worthy of miracles. That's what happens when our DNA starts reconnecting, is we start remembering these things. It's not just a far off thought anymore that happens to someone else, but it's actually something that is relevant to us as well. And what I want to say with it, we talk about yoga and stuff, and you guys all know me, I'm a great yoga fan. But because they've also contorted with yoga and infiltrated it, and stuff like that, what they do, like with the monks and stuff as well, with the arms. So they're umming and they open up portals and stuff like that, right? So they will also use yoga to pull people back into the system. Guys, we have to remember it works both ways. And this is where discernment is absolutely everything. You've got to trust yourself, not your teacher and whatever. You've got to trust yourself as to know, where is this leading you? Because in as much as what it can go in the one direction, because a lot of the MK Ultra victims, for example, as part of the healing, they're given yoga. That's a big thing. And that's how they draw them back into that consciousness as well. And so I want to just point that out, because that is something very important, I think, for everyone to realize, that it's not just Christianity that has got two sides. It's the Eastern teachings as well. When we're looking at Hinduism, Buddhism, everything has two sides. Or we look at the deities of Hinduism, we understand that they already acknowledge the dark side of humanity, right? So we've just got to be aware of that. That's all.
And I will say I've been very big on my channel, like, about researching who it is you're going to as a teacher. And that's one thing that my teacher in India, one thing I really respect about him is that he puts up a lot of boundaries between himself and the students, and he will not answer personal questions. Like, he just will not help you he will tell you some Vedic text you can read to help you figure out what you need to do, but he gives you that space to make your own decisions. And that's one thing my teacher, like, we have to learn how, like, I could not get authorized if I couldn't carry on a conversation with my Sanskrit teacher in Sanskrit. Like, they make us learn Sanskrit because we are responsible for reading the text for ourselves. And I respect the hell out of the school I went to for doing that, because they want you to be able to do this yourself and not rely on somebody else's translation. So it's very, very, very important to really sit in your discernment and look at the teachers, look at the lineage, and figure out which one is trying to get you to do your own work and stand on your own 2 feet, and who is trying to. That's the difference between, like, a dangerous cult too. We see that with cults as well. There's always elements of truth in the cult. That's why the cult becomes popular, but then that coercive control. So yes. And again, darkness can't create anything. Well, yeah. So yoga originally, just like everything else, was created for the good. And then because they can't create anything. There is, I see we have, hold on one second. We have a really great channel in the audience right now, Spirit Journey of the White Cherokee. He's got a great channel. I've been in contact with him about coming on my channel. He does a lot of things on narcissism, and he incorporates a lot of spirituality. And if anybody's ever been in contact with someone who has narcissistic personality disorder, they cannot create anything. They can only steal from other people and claim it as their own. And so we see this in this whole polarization process that we're here on this earth to discover. So I'll start that verse over again, because this is really important. Wisdom is hidden in the darkness when lit by the flame of the soul. Find out the wisdom of Lightborn, the son of the light without form. Seek the evermore wisdom, find it in the heart of the flame, knowing that only by striving can light pour into thy brain. Now I have spoken with it wisdom, listen to my voice and obey. Tear open the veils of darkness, shine a light on the way. That's what I think we're doing on these channels, is we're trying to tear open the veils of darkness and shine a light on the way. Shining a light on the way is just showing somebody. It's like one of my favorite quotes. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. You're only showing people different research, different things for them to then do it themselves. All right, so now he's going to get into ancient Atlantis, and this is where it gets super interesting, guys. Speak I of ancient Atlantis. Speak of the days of the kingdom of shadows. Speak of the coming of the children of shadows. Out of the great deep they are called, by the wisdom of earthmen, called for the purpose of gaining great power. So he has been referring to us watching, and us three, by two different things this whole time. He's called us the children of light, and he's called us the children of men. Children of men and children of light, they're the same thing. They're us. Now we're meeting a whole different group of people called the children of shadows. This to me screams organic portal. All right, so we've had Mr. Fox has been on my channel and y'all's channel talking about organic portals. The history of the organic portal, according to the Cassiopeians, is they're pre-Adamic beings. So they are the beings that were called forth on this planet to attract other beings like ourselves. Because the organic portals only have the lower three chakras, not the upper chakras. Now, they too can ascend at some point. It's up to them, which that's a totally different conversation for a different day. But that matches what the Cassiopeians are saying, that they were these entities called forth. They're not us. They're coming from a different place. Far in the past, for the purpose of gaining power, right? So that's their purpose. They were going to be used. So an organic portal, like in my opinion, all organic portals are narcissists, but not all narcissists are organic portals. So they're being used to manipulate others. You know, they're being controlled by fourth density negative beings, call them demons, whatever you want to call them, whatever you want to call that, different vocabulary words, same thing, to come in and create havoc, to destabilize a positively oriented person in order to gain more power from that light. Far in the past, before Atlantis existed, men there were who delved into darkness using dark magic, calling up beings from the great deep below us. Forth they came into this cycle. So then they came into this cycle. Formless were they of another vibration, existing unseen by the children of earthmen. So we can't see the entities controlling, right? We're not able to see. Well, some of us can see, but I think even those who see don't see it all, because I think that would be a shit show if we did see all the demons, everything going on. Only through blood could they have formed being. Only through man could they live in this world. Again, darkness can't create anything. So what are they saying? This is why they do their rituals, you guys. Once you understand why they do their rituals, everything starts to make sense. Everything starts to make sense. Your blood, my blood, Ashanti's blood, Morné's blood, is your sacred DNA. It's your sacred. Ashanti and I both are O negative. We've talked about this. We can give each other organs. What's the word? Organs if we need to, right? We're both O negative. But just because Shanti and I are both O negative, if you were to take my blood and take Shanti's blood and compare the two, you would get two different DNA templates of a person, right? This is why we see the cardiovascular system, the heart, the blood comes up through the heart to be cleaned and then sit out, because if you do cupping, they pull up old blood so new blood can come in to clean it out. Your sacred DNA is what gives you life. Your blood is what gives you life. Very literally, your blood is the literal Shakti of the spirit of your soul, right? That blood is so important. It gives life to you. And in the missing books of the Bible, of the Old Testament, they are instructed to never drink or eat blood. That is in the missing books of the Old Testament. Okay, because it is sacred to that being. Your dog's blood is sacred to your dog. Your cat's blood is sacred. It is sacred. It gives the life. And so, because the darkness cannot create that said light, what is the one element of a human being they need to have in order to serve the darkness? Blood. That's only through blood could they come to live in this world. So now that's why you understand they do these rituals, right? This is also covered in the Apocryphon books of the missing books of the Bible. In ages past, they were conquered by the masters. Tartaria. When I read that, I was like, oh, there's a mention of Tartaria, the 1,000 years of peace, when they were pushed down. So they were conquered by the masters, driven below to the place from whence they came. But some who remained hidden in spaces and plains unknown to man. Lived they in Atlantis as shadows, but at times they appeared among men. When the blood was offered, forth they came to dwell among men. So darkness, guys, is higher entity darkness beings. They don't want to share their secret teachings. So Mr. Fox has said this before. What do the controllers, the bad guys, do to get these secret teachings? They lure the demons in with blood, because that's what they need to sustain life, right? In the form of man moved they among us, but only to sight were they as men. So they looked like men, only to sight did they appear as men. Serpent-headed when the glamour was lifted, but appearing to men as man among men. Crept they into the councils, taking forms that were like unto men, slaying by their arts the chiefs of the kingdoms, taking their form and ruling over man. Only by magic could they be discovered. Only by sound could their faces be seen. Sought they from the kingdom of shadows to destroy man and rule in his place. But know ye, the masters were mighty in magic, able to lift the veil from the face of the serpent, able to send him back to his place. Came they to man and taught him the secret, the word that only a man can pronounce. Swift then they lifted the veil from the serpent and cast him forth from the place among men. Yet beware, the serpent still liveth in a place that is open at times to the world. Unseen they walk among thee, in places where the rites have been said. Again, as time passes onward, shall they take the semblance of man. Called may they be by the master, who knows the white or the black, but only the white master may control and bind them while in the flesh. So only people who practice white magic. And I actually had the opportunity to speak someone high up in government, trying to be vague about this because he is a whistleblower as well, but he works more behind the scenes. And he was telling me that they have in our governments, the good sides of our governments, if you want to call them the white hats, whatever you want to call them, they practice white magic. They do white magic to protect themselves and to combat the black warlocks and witches. You have to fight fire with fire, right? Like you have to understand their spells and understand what they're doing in order to conquer it. And that's what he's saying. Only white magic, only people of the light can actually conquer this, right? Seek not the kingdom of shadows, for evil will surely appear. For only the master of brightness shall conquer the shadow of fear. Know ye, O my brother, the fear is an obstacle great. master of all and its brightness, the shadow will soon disappear. Hear ye and heed my vision. Hear ye and heed my wisdom. The voice of light is clear. Seek not the valley of shadow, and light will only appear. So this is very different. Like we started off in the beginning saying your own shadow work, things you work through is what's going to help you understand your soul and your light. But don't dwell in the shadows of the darkness. And from what I get this too, like let's say, so what's something, an issue that a lot of us struggle with? A lot of people struggle with abandonment, right? Now to ignore that and just let it fester is going to cause a heavier weight, as Shanti was saying before we started filming, a heavier weight that attracts more darkness, right? If we work on the abandonment, however, we can clear it and be more light. But there's a difference in presenting the obstacle, figuring out why you struggle, trying to heal that, and sitting in it and moping in it, right? And allowing it to control you. Does that make sense?
Ooh.
There's a huge difference in how to, List, O man, to the depths of my wisdom, speak I of knowledge hidden from man. Far have I been on my journey through space-time. Even to end of the space of this cycle, found I there the great barrier. Holding man from leaving the cycle, I glimpsed the hounds of the barrier, lying in wait for he who would pass them in the space where time exists not. Faintly I sense the guardians of cycles. Move they only through the angles. Free are they not of the curved dimensions. And so what he's starting to refer to now, I think, is a form of escapism through astral travel, right? So he's saying he's gonna get deeper into this, how dangerous something like this can be for somebody. So he's saying that when he was in human form, he tried to escape through astral travel, leaving his body behind and moving the soul, because you are a soul. That is what you are. But that doesn't work. And he's going to talk about how there's only been a few incidences where that worked, right? Otherwise, you have to go back. They're going to send you back to your body. You can't neglect. You can't practice escapism. You can't leapfrog through your experiences. So many people want to leapfrog. So many people want to go to third dimension to fifth dimension, leapfrogging over fourth dimension. It doesn't work like that. There's a necessary step in each of your conscious evolution, right? It's up to you how fast you go move through that conscious evolution, but it's necessary, right? Like you had to learn how to, feel the sensation of going to the bathroom to know how not to wet your pants, right? You couldn't just skip through that. You had to go through it. There's a purpose for everything. Strange and terrible are the hounds of the barriers. There's a barrier where they're going to say, no, you can't pass through here yet. Follow they consciousness to the limits of space. Think not to escape by entering your body. For following they fast the soul through angles. Only the circles will give ye protection, save from the claws of the dweller angles. So that's also another concern with astro travel, astro projection, right? When you are able to leave your body, your soul is able to leave, which is what astral travel is. Your body is then left as an open vessel. And so with the barriers, with the guards of this realm that we're in, both good and bad, when they see that you're not in there, your body. So Thoth speaks about how he's having to race now back to his body so that the dwellers of the dark side don't get to his body first. Does that make sense? The Cassiopeians talk about this with surgery. They were saying in one of the posts a year ago or so, they were saying now is not the time to have surgery if you don't need to have surgery, if it's not an emergency. If it's something that can wait on your surgery. Because when you go under anesthesia, you're vulnerable. Your body, your soul is vulnerable. And they even talked about, have you ever had a friend go under anesthesia for surgery and they come back from that surgery and they're not the same person? They've changed. There's a chance that there could have been a hijacking that happened. All right. They talk about this with hypnosis, that you should never be under hypnosis for very long. We see people doing these like hypnosis, like 5-hour sessions. Absolutely not. That should not be happening according to the Cassiopeians in the law of one. You're under for too long. Your guides, you have guides. The Cassiopeians talk about this. You have your guardian angel, your guides. These are entities as well, right? And so just like you get tired, just like you get weary, so do they, right? That's why a lot of people talk about guides switching off sometimes. So when you put yourself under anesthesia, your guards have to get strong around you, because that's when the darkness is going to try to infiltrate and hijack. And so if you're under for a really long time, there's actually, and Mr. Fox can talk about this, there was in one part of the law of one where the woman who was the conduit, the channeler, there was one point in one of the sessions where Ra steps in and says, you need to get her out now. You got to stop this now because they're attacking and that they're coming hard for her right now. And so they had to stop the session and pull her out. And Ra stopped it, said, no, we can't go anymore. She is now vulnerable. So you got to pull her out. So you guys need to be very, very well aware of this. And this is what Thoth is saying here. Be very careful with things like hypnosis and, if you're going under for like 15, 30 minutes, totally fine. But 5 hours? No. All right. So that's what he's talking about. Once in a past time, I approached the Great Barrier and saw on the shores where time exists not. The formless forms of the hounds of the barrier. I, hiding in the mist beyond time, I found them, and they, scenting me afar off, raised themselves and gave the great bell cry that can be heard from the cycle above, and moved through space towards my soul. Fled I then fast before them, back from time's unthinkable end, but ever after they me pursued them, moving in strange angles not known to men. I, at the gray shore of time-space end, found I the hounds of the barrier, raving for the soul who attempts the beyond. Fast I fled through the circles, back to my body, fled, and fast after me they followed. I, after me the devourers followed, seeking through the angles to devour my soul. I, know ye man, that the soul who dares the barrier may be held in bondage by the hounds from beyond time. And we talked about this a little off camera, Shanti, about how they can trap souls. And left behind when the consciousness leaves. Enter I my body, created the circles that know not angles, created the form, and from my form was formed, made my body into circles, and lost the pursuers in the circles of time. But even yet, when free from my body, cautious ever must I be, not to move through angles, else my soul might never be free. Know ye the hounds of the barrier, move only through angles, and never through the curves of space. Only by moving through curves can ye escape them, for in angles they will pursue thee. O man, heed my warning. Seek not to break open the gate to beyond. So be careful with astral travel and hypnosis. Seek not to break open the gate from beyond. Few there are who have succeeded in passing the barrier to the great light that shines beyond. For know ye ever the dwellers seek such souls to hold in their thrall. They know who you are. The darkness sees you. If you have a soul, if you are a souled person, SOULED, the darkness knows exactly who you are and how valuable you are to not only the light, but to them as well. Sure. So if you're messing around with hypnosis and astral traveling, you are leaving yourself vulnerable to a hijacking experience, and they are waiting. They are the hounds. He refers to them as hungry hounds waiting for you to leave your body so they can infiltrate and hijack and not only control your body, but then hold your soul hostage, right? And
these are and transcendental meditation. These are all, because at the moment we're doing the Gateway Experience with Jesse, and it's very interesting speaking to someone who's been through the system of having that, those methodologies, if you will, imposed, and, like literally weaponizing the kids with those means of doing it. Remote viewing or astral traveling, because really it's one and the same thing, in my opinion. If you're going to remote view, you leave your body and you're going to be peeking into someone else's business, because that's how they use a lot. They use that a lot for spying. The kids that were remote viewed, they were using them for spying. And things like even animal communication. Now, as an animal communicator, that's tragic for me, because they know that if you can communicate with an animal, you can view what's happening in the animal's environment if you're good. And it's true. Like, the only time I'll remote view, and I haven't, probably maybe 8 years, I think it was the night there was all these fires here a couple of years ago. And my friend's dogs were caught in the fires. And she phoned me in a frantic panic. And I then went out and I could see them and I directed them home.
Yeah.
So, so in cases like that, I do believe you are automatically protected, right?
Yeah.
But anything, you see, guys, this is where these things become dangerous. This is where things like this become dangerous, is when you actually are sitting in these situations where you leave yourself open, you leave yourself vulnerable, you don't really know what's going on. You leave yourself open to suggestion as well when it comes to certain things. So until such time that you've actually gotten to know what it is you need to be doing with you, right? And you use it in a way that is intended, because it's possible to use it in that way. But do you use it or do you abuse it? There's always a balance. So there's times to use it, and it's like people doing spy work on stuff like that. I mean, you're always going to get ramifications. We must always remember there's always a reaction to every action. So every action that you have done by choice, okay, is going to get a reaction, right? So if you are choosing to use your gift to spy on people, you better believe you're going to get that back tenfold, right? Betrayal and stuff like that. So, it's all about balance. It really is all about balance when it comes to stuff like this.
And understanding that this is a spiritual war that we're in, and then they're watching you. And I want to answer Vera Marie. I feel like there's still some good in yoga, though. Absolutely, Vera. Shanti Morné and I are all practitioners. I'm the only female authorized KPJAY teacher in the state of Georgia. What we're saying is just be very careful with there's a lot. I would say in the United States alone, 99% of the yoga in the United States is fake yoga. It's infiltrated yoga. That's why I spent years in India studying with the Param Guru of a lineage. I spent years studying under Sanskrit scholars at the university there of Mysore. And we were required that. So yeah, you just have to be extremely careful. And I see so many people try to send me propaganda about yoga being like the postures bringing in demons, which is quite frankly pathetic, because you have to actually invite a demon, and you can't just be possessed by one without giving consent, and that can happen anywhere. But most people don't even know there's such thing as called the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, which is the basis of yoga. They don't even know that exists because it's been so infiltrated. And so you just have to really do your research. That's what we're saying, Vera. And yes, Liz, a friend once said yoga is not what you think it is, and there are many false teachers, but the real yoga is very different. And actually, I mean, we can talk about this later about how the third and fourth pada are where it gets dangerous. And the third and fourth pada are not hidden. They don't censor like the church does or other religions. They don't censor. They don't hide it. But any serious teacher will tell you not even to look at the third and fourth pada until you're 15 to 20 years into your practice, because that's where the cities are talked about, and that's where it can be manipulated for bad. So they want to make sure that you're at a place of humility and goodness to actually study that kind of stuff. So anyway, we've only got a few verses left, guys. So all right, let's see. List, O man, and heed ye my warning. Seek ye to move not in angles but curves. And while free from thy body, thou hearest the sound like a bay of hounds, the growling. If you've left your body and you hear the growling, ring clear and bell-like through thy being. Flee back to thy body through circles. Penetrate not the mist before. When thou hast entered the form thou hast dwelt in, so return back to your body. Use thou the cross and the circle combined, which he showed you that in the I think it was the couple padas before, how to protect your space, which is something. It's the same thing Jesse actually showed me off camera, how to protect my space, and it's the same thing that he showed us in a couple of tablets before this. When thou hast entered the form the form thou hast dwelt in, use thou the circle combined. Open thy mouth and use thy voice under the word, and thou shalt be free. Only the one who of light has the fullest can hope to pass the guards of the way, and then must he move through strange curves and angles that are formed in the direction not known to man. List, O man, and heed of my warning. Attempt not to pass the guards in the way. Rather seek ye to gain of thine own light. So don't try to trick the system. So he's saying, don't try to like leapfrog and escape. You got to go inside your body. You got to go on your own path, right? So list ye, O man, and heed my warning. Attempt not to pass the guards in the way. Rather, you should seek to gain thine own light and make thyself ready to pass on the way. Light is thine ultimate end, O brother. Seek and find ever the light on thy way. And that's tablet 8 from Thoth. And then we can look at Doriel's commentary.
I just like the macro and the micro, like how it all connects.
Goes back
and for me,
forth,
this basically the key of the mystery is just like after we've gone through the 7 lords, the chakra system basically, and that heart flame starts activating that spirit, your fire, your own light starts activating. Then you're not scared to go through that darkness. You're not scared to go through that curves and angles, and you'll rise above it. But for people that starts getting that power and that starts activating, it can start become corrupting, and they start inverting and they try to use it for some other things and blah, blah, blah. But inside of us, we do that same. So we've got this opportunity, we've got this power to rise above it and shapeshift. Because I mean, I've been in places where I didn't want people to see me. So I can literally, because I do energy work, I know how to work with energy. I can lower my energy, nobody needs to see me. And then I've got times when my energy is out there, people will notice you. So we already shape shift daily in our consciousness as we raise our consciousness. But so finally, I loved it. I enjoyed this.
It's interesting. It kind of reminds me, because we always say, like, in the United States, we have this joke about like the middle-aged women going, I want to speak to the manager. It's like we're in our lives and we're not super happy. And so we leave our bodies being like, I want to speak to the manager. I didn't sign up for this. But it's like, no. You did sign up for this. You've got to finish this. You can't just
add this.
You can't. This is not, you signed it, and you got to move through this so that you can be qualified. I mean, I know Mr. Fox talks about this, so that you're eligible to be able to harvest to the next realm. And it's not that you're better than or worse, and it's that you're ready for it, so that your soul is ready for it, right? And so you have to go through this hot mess express that we're all on and find your own light, not trying to seek outside of yourself or to escape yourself. Go back into your body, he's saying, and figure it out. Like, as we saw in the last tablet in Doriel's commentary, it's like, somebody, when Thoth was in human form, somebody gave Thoth the key and he actually used it. He goes, okay, how many of us want to be spiritual and we're presented opportunities and then we see how hard it is? We're like, no, thanks. Where's the magic pill? Where's the magic pill that just makes everything okay? Where's the bippity boppity boo where I just don't have to go through this? It's not. You have to live in this experience. That's that wisdom through darkness. You have to be careful of the darkness outside of you that's wanting to attack you, but also live through your own darkness so you can transmute it to light. And so there is no wait. There's no leapfrogging. There's no, it's no red rover, send somebody right over. No, you are literally here. This is your literal experience right now, and it will pass. And eventually, he's saying, once you find that own light, then the gates will open for you automatically. There's no trying to hijack it. We know they hijack. You don't be a hijacker too, right? Do your own work. Yeah. Don't cheat the system. Right. So good. So good. I can't wait to go through Doriel with you guys next week, because Doriel does speak about some ritual stuff in here. So
how much further do we still have to go?
Just Doriel's commentary next week, and that's it. That's all of tablet 8. Okay,
cool. Oh, that's awesome. Good. Nice. I enjoyed that one as well.
Yeah.
Cool. Good. Okay. Well, I want to just say then thank you to everyone for joining us today. We literally just on tablet, just on an hour. So I want to just say to you, thank you guys for joining us. If you haven't already, please like, share, subscribe, and we will catch you again next week.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.